Okay, so my intention with all of these podcasts are always, how can I give everybody the handful of habits that I've found, like if I do these things, everything in my life gets better. And so today I'm going to talk about the one which is the execute habit. So we all know that there are important things you got to get done during the day. There's things that are a little bit less important to get done. And then there's like your little tasks that you have to get done, right? Kind of like go down in sequential order. If you can find the one thing, the number one thing, that if you got that thing done, it would help everything else in your life. How did I learn about this? Is like, so obviously I'm a CEO of a small company, which means that I'm just trial and error, fucking things up all the time. There's always 10 or 15 different employees that you're like working and trying to train with. There's always, 3 or 4 different like marketing projects. There's like something wrong with your finances. There's ordering and inventory. There's just always going to be a million different things that I am constantly like worried about and stressed out getting done, which to some bit, everybody's life is like that, right? If you can figure out what is that number one thing, then 2 things actually happened. First, that means you actually got clear about what is the most important thing. So it may not mean that you're perfect at getting it done every day, but if everything is important, then that actually means technically nothing is important. If you're not able to say that this thing has more value in getting done than this thing over here, then you're just always going to be like a tire in mud. You're just going to be spinning your wheels, but not going anywhere. As soon as you can decide, so let's say for me, I've really come to find out that training my handful of leaders, so let's say there's 20 employees, there's got to be 2 or 3 people that really like lead them and run them. If I can spend my time making sure that those 2 or 3 people know exactly what to do, exactly how to do it, and exactly why it's important, then they're going to train their team the right way. They're going to be able to make more sales. They're going to be able to bring more money in, which then would alleviate the problem of like, okay, inventory order. Okay, if one vendor messes something up, I can order more inventory of some other brand, of some other thing. If it's a marketing issue, like, all right, we fucked up these 3 different types of marketing things that we're doing, which I do all the time. You always got to try new avenues for advertising or whatever you're doing. Well, I can take the hit if my team is really selling well, because that cash is the lifeblood of the business. But I also can't train all 20 employees. So again, drill this all the way back down. All of these other problems are subsequent problems of just taking care of this number one big thing. And that if my whole day fell apart, as long as I got that one thing done, it may not be a perfect day, but it would be a win, because everything else would fall in order after that. So I'm gonna try to use like a personal example here. When you're in like that leadership role, a lot of times you feel as though you're the one who's got to get all of these things done. And so I always felt like it was my responsibility to be on top of making sure, whatever, the inventory thing got ordered, to make sure that this marketing thing is running right. And what I did was I was putting equal importance. I would literally schedule out my day, and then I would write, okay, I'm gonna do this at this time, this at this time, this at this time. When in reality, what I should have done was said, okay, here's the 5 things I gotta get done. This is the number 1 most important. This is the number 2. This is the number 3, number 4, and number 5. Because no matter what, during your day, every single day, something will go wrong. One of the people that you gotta talk to is sick. Somebody else can't respond to something. The bank's closed for a holiday. You can't get this thing done. But as long as you have them ranked in order and you make sure that you start your day with the single most important one and that it gets done, you're gonna be able to win 90% of the time, because consistently doing that thing every day is going to allow for it to filter down through the rest of your organization. So I'm speaking a lot of this as though like you're a CEO or whatever like that, but let's say you're just an influencer. So I work with a ton of people who like, that's their job right now, is to like create content, edit it, put it out, get a following, and then that's how they make their money, through like personal training, coaching, whatever. Well, the number one thing, like if they don't create that content, it doesn't matter. They're not going to have leads of people to sell to. They're not going to be able to meet the next new person. So the very first thing they should do when they get up in the morning, I'm going to create that content because that's the number one lifeblood of my business. Then I'm going to follow up with calls. Then I'm going to see my client here. Then I'm going to make sure that this credit card got paid. You have to know, rank and file in order, what is the number one thing. And if you can find that number one thing, I promise you, you will be successful.